Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule, presented by FanDuel. Today is Thursday, March 19th. Happy March, folks. We're recording this portion right on Thursday morning. The games are tipping off in about an hour for March Madness. So we're going to upload the pod just this afternoon. I figured, why not do a little bit of an early upload? We do have our bracket. We will have that in the next segment. We recorded that part of the show on Wednesday. So just, we didn't cheat. And obviously you'll see that because I'm sure we'll have some picks that are wrong. So we do have our bracket. We went through the entire thing. We each got a region, and then we gave our fourth region to Javon Pickett the Squirrel, our mascot of the show. Sorry.
Kenny and I are good co-parents of Javon.
Yeah.
I have custody now. We got a divorce. I'm sorry.
Oh.
But it's okay because co-parenting can be really empowering.
Who gets
Javon doesn't even know what you look like. I'm sorry.
Oh, jeez. This is sad.
Say that about my baby.
So, we do pick our bracket. We also talked a little bit of football in that part of the show because there was some football news. But we're hopping on Thursday. This is a little bit of a deja vu for Payton and I. This part of the show, this is the Miami preview. We're going to talk Mizzou, Miami. Kenny, do you want to tell us why it's a little bit of deja vu for Payton and I a little bit of deja vu for Payton and I before we get into the preview?
Yeah. Well, I really ragged on Payton for not clicking the start button. I straight up deleted their recording of the preview on accident. Before the show yesterday, when we recorded it on Wednesday, Jack reminded me to start deleting my recordings for Mizzou Today, which is the other podcast I do for work. And when I was deleting it, they had very similar names, and one popped up because they finished around the same time. So I went to close it, and it just kind of popped up last second. I clicked it, and then I was like, why is the one I just deleted still there? And then I realized I deleted the one you guys did. And they were probably around the same time too, like 30 minutes. So I just did not even click. I'm also ill. Okay. I'll say it. This is my first illness since college. It's been a while. I remember
that illness in college because you would dress like a very sickly like child in like 1800s pajamas that would hold the candle. You know what I mean? That's what you would dress like when you were sick.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is now, 2 shows in the last month, really, because of course that was like February 10th that we didn't end up having a show after Payton and I is not realizing the recording was not on debacle. Now we've had this. We are doing this makeup preview because this is a bigger moment for Mizzou. So we figured we probably should still get a preview in. But me and Payton had about a 40-minute conversation that just is lost to the internet void.
The
ether. So thank you, Kenny. So me and Payton are going to rehash some stuff we talked about. But Kenny, you weren't a part of that first portion because, like you said, you were recording your other pod and previewing this game. So now we all get to do it together. The power, the entire
I see
power.
That smile tugging at the corners of your lips, Kenny. Let it fly. Come on.
You guys don't want me here. I mean, I can just do this.
Oh, wow.
We do want you here.
We do want you here. Yeah, there is a thought, was this a saboteur? Because, we make some jokes about Kenny in the basketball segments, and is this a get back? I don't know. That can be answered by one person and one person alone, and he's in the middle of the screen, so I can't read his mind. But anyway, that's why we're now recording this portion on Thursday morning, and the show will be up Thursday afternoon for you fine people. Let's get into it. With that out of the way, maybe we'll revisit it again at the end. Mizzou, Miami, fellas. the NCAA tournament kicks off for Mizzou, tips off for Mizzou, and actually it ends the first round for everybody, right? This game, 9:10 Central Time on True TV. FanDuel has this as a 1.5 point spread. Miami is the favorite. The game, of course, like I said, 9:10 on True TV. It is being played in the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, which is certainly a significant thing. And that's what I'll start with this time around, Payton. I'm going to ask the same question eventually that we started our Lost show with, but I'll save that for a little bit. To me, this is a very, I want to get this out of the way. I think the Enterprise Center thing is a very real thing. I think there's a nuance like, oh, it doesn't matter. You got to win the game. It's a tournament game. You know, it's not Mizzou Arena, whatever you might say. I think this is a super huge factor for everyone's feelings and a lot of the sentiment I've seen towards this game. I'll even go as far as to say, shout out to FanDuel. I don't make the odds, but I think if they made them and these two teams played in Portland, Oregon, I think Miami would be more of a favorite. I think the Enterprise Center thing, the St. Louis thing, absolutely plays a factor. I was actually looking at tickets this morning. Tickets for session 1, which includes Kentucky, by the way, who everyone keeps saying is going to fill that place up because their fans travel so well. Tickets for session 1 are about $85. Tickets for session 2 are about $230. So I'll let that speak to what I think this home crowd is going to be. I think that absolutely plays a factor here for Mizzou fellas in this one.
Definitely. I mean, we'll talk about it more later when I go down this region and discuss how many demons Missouri can exercise. This is the second year in a row they've gotten a really favorable draw. I mean, this is maybe the biggest shot at redemption they've had under Dennis Gates. It's hard to overstate how slanted the crowd is going to be in the Enterprise Center. I fully expect it to be about 95-5 Missouri. I mean, I watched a preview.
You said 90-10
Miami
yesterday.
Yeah, and I've upped it. There was a Miami writer that did a preview for this game, and he mentioned that when Miami played Florida, in Jacksonville or wherever it was in Florida. So in theory, a more neutral ground. I mean, it was closer to Gainesville, but still, the crowd was still about 99% Gator fans. So look, I'm not trying to say they don't have basketball fans. They absolutely do. They have big time basketball funding and everything. It is going to be a partisan crowd for Missouri. And that absolutely, I don't think you see that much in the NCAA tournament. It's going to be, you can say, yeah, we've played road games. We've played, I know one of the Miami players, I think, said they'd play on the moon if they had to, but it's a different environment when you see that neutral floor, but the crowd is going to be full throated against you. We'll see how it goes, if it really does matter, but it certainly feels like it should make a difference. And it's certainly, fair or not, it ratchets up the pressure on Dennis, more than anyone else, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think there's a good thing to point out, Payton, about during the Miami press conferences before they left to go to St. Louis. They're like, we played in road environments before. This is what it is. It's one of the biggest arenas that both these teams will play in the entire year too. This is an actual, hockey arena. I think that's going to be one of the things that plays into the part. I don't know what the seats are like compared to, Mizzou Arena where Miami plays. But even when you talk about the sizes of the schools, Payton, and just in the state of Florida, I think it's kind of tough because I think I would, I don't know what the number is, but I think 60% of that state is probably Gators fans. Miami's kind of on its own, just down there at the bottom of the state.
How dare you disrespect the Florida Atlantic Owls like that?
Or UCF, national champions.
Oka.
FIU.
A lot of good schools down there as well.
Florida A&M. Go Rattlers.
Yeah, but I think when you kind of look at it, Payton, from the seats, I wouldn't say the seats not hot, but when you get into the NCAA tournament, it's the expectations keep going up and up because this is your first time playing a higher major opponent for Dennis Gates in this era. He's 1-2 in games. He should have beaten Drake last year is what the expectations were, especially with that one being so close to home as well. You get even closer against an opponent that's even further away. I think there's, a candle right underneath his seat, even though he doesn't sit during the games. And I think, it's not necessarily like, a hot seat in the sense of getting fired, but the hot seat of like, you need to, have expectations. You need to meet these ones for some of these fans.
Looking at the seating chart or just capacity. So Enterprise has about 22,000. It says Mizzou Arena 15,000, which I think people forget. Mizzou Arena is pretty damn big for basketball arenas, like comparatively. I believe, if I'm looking at this right, Miami. Yeah, okay. Miami plays in the Watsco Center, which is 8,000 seats. So that's about half of what Missouri plays in normally. So
it'll feel cavernous by comparison. I feel like Kenny's thoughts on Dennis here, Payton, might be a good time to even not broaden this out now, but talk about probably what feels like the most maybe important part of this game outside of the X's and O's and like just in terms of the context of it. So Kenny, I'll throw this back to you because this is what Payton and I discussed on the Voided show yesterday. I'm sorry I keep bringing it up, but it's just going to happen.
The show that no longer exists because you deleted.
So Kenny, Payton went as far as to say, and I ended up pretty easily agreeing with him when you look at it. I think this is the most important game that Dennis has coached for Missouri, or that Dennis will coach. And Payton, you can give your thoughts as to why soon, but do you agree with that statement when you think about his tenure so far? You think about the implications of this game next season, how this season has gone, and how the past few seasons have gone. I think it is the most important. I want your thoughts on that, and Payton can give his.
Hypothetical world, he wins this game. Missouri wins, beats Miami. Would you call that the most important win of the Dennis Gates era? I mean, I still think there's opportunities where he broke a streak against Kansas. He beat the national champions on the road. I still think there's argument to be made that, he's had some pretty impactful wins just for the program in general. But I think this one kind of breaks the trend. I think I think it's fair to say that this is the most important game. And it's hard to say that when it's just the first round. It's not like, it's the second round. They still haven't gotten to the Sweet 16 yet. But it's year 4. You can point to the statistics of, first time a coach has won back-to-back 20 wins for Missouri since the early 2010s. Like, there's a lot of things you can point to. He's had a lot more success than Konzo Martin. But when you kind of get into this cycle of, first round, second round exit, you're not getting over that hump and you're just kind of stuck in this revolving door. I think this is massive. Even the next round, I know it would be Purdue, right? That's going to be a tough draw.
Or Queens.
Or Queens. But in that sense of, you might not make it to the Sweet 16. I think that's just a fair thing to kind of say. It's a tough draw to face a hot Purdue team that just won the Big Ten. But if you can win this one, I think you're kind of going in the right direction. You're breaking kind of a trend that you still haven't played a high major. This is the first one that Dennis Gates will play in the NCAA tournament.
Here's why. I'll break it down here, why I feel like it is. I think almost a big portion of it, I think it would have been up there in importance, maybe still the most important if this were in Portland or something else.
We keep saying Portland. Shout out to Portland.
I don't. That's just the one I keep because people keep complaining that Arkansas had to go there.
Feels far as hell away.
But the fact that this is going to be in front of your fan base, it's yours. This is a home game in your backyard. This is literally a site. I don't think you can get a site closer to Mizzou Arena than this. I doubt there's ever been one. The fact that there's that, and it has the Drake loss has just been a cloud over this entire season. I don't think that's unfair to say. It has left such a horrid taste in everyone's mouth that you got a favorable draw last year, even though you probably didn't deserve as good a draw as you got because of the way you finished the season. And you go out, you lay an egg against a team that everybody was picking to beat you, despite them being the lower seed, and you don't prove anyone wrong. That's the thing about this. It's a real chance to, after everyone pretty much buried this program after Drake and put even more dirt on top of it after Illinois in this same building, you now return to that building with a chance to get a win in front of your home fans in a season that everyone thought was going to be lost. I think that builds so much goodwill. The fact that you're going to do it in front of your home fans if you do it. And then you go into this offseason with hopefully, you got Mitchell leaving, which sucks. You're not going to find another Mitchell in the portal almost certainly, but you have more money to deal with in the portal. You have this top 5 recruiting class coming in. I feel like this game goes a long way towards validating what Dennis is trying to do here. And it's not really fair because if you go back to when Dennis was hired and you said, hey, we're going to hire this guy, he's going to make 3 tournaments in 4 years. He's going to have a win in his first one and everything. Kenny, I mean, would anybody have said no to that at all after what we had watched the season or two, really the 3 seasons before?
You saw the video I posted on the Unwritten account yesterday.
Yes, I did.
Someone replied, he was like, how can you love this season? Look at the ending against Princeton. It's like, it still was an incredible first season. The expectations were nothing. I mean, it's a first-year head coach at the high major level, being a head coach in Dennis Gates, and what he did with a group of guys that no one really knew about. Bunch of guys,
mid-major misfits is what people.
They hadn't won an NCAA tournament game since 2010. Before that season,
when they were a 10 seed then too.
Yeah.
And that building off that, Kenny, that's the thing that I think has kind of, despite that looking at it from that lens of Dennis making 3 tournaments in 4 years, winning 20 games in 3 seasons, being 4th in the SEC in his first year, like that had never been done at Missouri. It still feels like the fan base is not all the way behind him because the lows have been just unbelievably low. I mean, you have the Princeton loss did sting. I don't think people were like calling for his job or anything, but that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, being that close to a Sweet 16, being a 7-point favorite, getting run out of the gym. That did suck. Then you have 0-19, which a lot of people buried Dennis and haven't dug him up since. The Drake loss, I think, still is like the lowest point. To me, it's as bad as it felt as bad as 0-19. It really did. That team went out and beat Alabama. They were going to be top 10 if they hadn't lost to Arkansas that weekend. Then that Vanderbilt shot happens. It leads to a spiral. They lose to Drake. They lose by 45 to Illinois. This just feels like such a big moment to get now people are bringing up the March record, to just get a big win over a high major in front of your own fans. I just think they can't oversell how big this game is for Dennis, I think. Even if they win this game and they play Purdue, I don't think the Purdue game is near as important. At that point, I think you're playing with a bit of house money.
I'll point this out, Payton, because you did say probably can't get anything closer in the sense of a NCAA tournament location. 127 miles from Mizzou Arena to the T-Mobile Center, 125 from Mizzou Arena to the Enterprise Center.
Wow. It's the only thing I could think of is if they've had one in like Jeff City or Hearns.
No.
Like Jeff City Municipal Dome. Whoa, no, not Wichita. Wichita would be further.
Way further.
Kirksville.
The field isn't closer than St. Louis.
They got a gym do they do it like the tournaments in the Bahamas, but it's just in the Isle of Capri Casino ballroom
in Boonville.
There's a cloud of smoke. You're like, oh, did the shot go in? Can't really tell.
Oh, it's just 5,000 cigarettes at the slot machines. Yeah, I mean, that's just a good table setter. I think I agree with Payton. I think when you go and look at some of these wins that Dennis has picked up too, a lot of them are retroactively super important. I don't think any feel as big as this going into it or have felt as big as this.
The only one I thought of this last night after the show that no longer exists.
Yep.
I thought of one game that might compare it, and it was the border war in Dennis's first year at Mizzou Arena. That's the only one I could think of that felt this big going in, and we saw how that one went.
Yeah, well, and it's just that was more to like Missouri was undefeated, even though they hadn't played anybody, but that people were like, wow, maybe this team.
They were 9-0 playing this crazy fun style.
I think people felt too like if they push Kansas, and lose by like 4 points, everyone's still going to be pretty excited. But Yeah, that's probably fair. But yeah, this one just feels major. I'm very for, like, you try to get the most out of every season, even with the importance of next season has to be successful with these recruits and whoever you bring in. I still think I think it's a real thing to want to get something, give Mark Mitchell a reward for all of the work and the success he's had in terms of a team result. Like, to have that guy and not win a tournament game with him, I think would be a travesty. And yeah, there's the March narrative, which is a very real thing, whether you think it's a real worry about Dennis or not. It's a very real narrative now. And you can kind of correct that against a good team. The guy he's going up against is doing what Dennis did in his first season at Miami. Jay Lucas is a really good coach, has a ton of high major experience. I don't think it'll be the last we're seeing of Miami. I think, frankly, they'll go up to the single digit seeds pretty consistently if they keep him around. But that's a good table center. Let's talk a little X's and O's in the game. And I'll throw this one to Kenny first because Payton got to answer it on the show that didn't exist. Kenny, what player aside from Mark Mitchell absolutely must have an A+ game for you if Missouri's going to win this?
I think the clear answer is Sean Phillips. This Miami team scores on the inside a lot. They have a very big, strong interior presence. And the only thing that Mizzou can really do is make sure that Sean Phillips doesn't have 2 fouls within the first 5 minutes of the game. I think that's like the biggest thing. He has to stay on the floor. I don't really know, how well Trent Burns would match up against some of these big bodies. There's guys. Yeah, they're 6'8", 245 pounds. Like, I mean, there's a strong interior presence. This Miami team doesn't really shoot the 3 ball well. They have one guy off the bench who can do it. And I think that's kind of a good thing for Mizzou because Mizzou doesn't have the best 3 ball defense. So, if they can just kind of focus in on stopping anything on the interior and switch the game that way and get offensive rebounds, which, I mean, they've struggled with as well as defensive rebounds, I think this could be, a pretty big game for Sean Phillips. Like, I think it has to be the A game. You can talk about, T.O. Barrett, but I think he's been figured out the last couple of games. They've figured out how to stop him on the drive. Is that Maverick talking? What does he have to say?
Yeah.
That's little baby puppy Tito.
Oh, that's Tito? Why is he at school?
Mini Tito.
He has school today. Tito has school.
He has school Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Spring break.
Oh,
He's on spring break. He's in
What would
Cabo
Tito
partying
think?
it up.
Tito seems like a T.O. Barrett fan.
Tito gone wild.
Well, what Tito actually finds interesting about Miami, kind of building off Kenny's point, stylistically,
Bark.
Kenny kind of alluded to it. They are very much not a 3-point shooting team. They're 331st in the nation in 3-point rate. So you kind of think, even though Missouri, it doesn't feel like 3-pointers have killed Missouri near as much as in years past under Dennis. But yeah, certainly they give up a lot of makes there. It feels like if Dennis wants to play that zone, this could be a good game to do it. Now, there's still a lot of ways to beat that. If Miami is smart enough, they'll have guys drive on the baseline, and we've seen what Missouri's defense can be against that. It's not good at all. But no, Kenny, I think you make a good point. Certainly, I think Sean Phillips staying in this game is pretty imperative. I think Trent Pierce needs to play like he's 6'10". Mitchell needs to kind of wall up against Renault. I assume that's going to be the matchup we see a lot. Him and Renault are just so similar, just in terms of shooting percentage, style, everything. And if that means you give up a few easy ones to keep Sean Phillips in the game, so be it. I don't want Sean Phillips to play scared or play like with no fire in him. But he cannot get 2 fouls on him. He has to, and Dennis needs to be in his ear about this. Like, they need him out there for this type of game. There's just no world that exists where I think Renault and all their other bigs do not get theirs in a massive way if Burns has to play a lot of minutes.
I agree with both of you. I think it's Sean Phillips. The 3-point shooting it's very funny with these 2 teams. Not only are neither of them particularly strong at shooting the 3, both of them allow a lot of threes. I brought this up on the show that doesn't exist. Miami is 273rd in the nation in opponent 3-point percentage. Missouri is even worse. They're 330th. That is the worst team in the NCAA tournament at giving up threes. So really hope Missouri doesn't have to play. I'm trying to think who like a Wisconsin or Illinois type of offense. Iowa State, they can shoot the three. So
Iowa State was your go-to?
I said 2 teams before Iowa State. Iowa State is the best 3-point shooter in the country on their team.
I don't know. They're not the 3-point rate team. I don't know. I'll look more into that. That's interesting that you brought them up.
Do some research. So yeah, I think the interior is going to be huge. You guys both mentioned it. Renault for Miami, he's their leading scorer. He averages about 18 and 6. His numbers are fairly similar to Sean Phillips. He's actually, funnily enough, also this team's best free throw shooter. Even though Miami, not a very good free throw shooting team, that is a relatively important thing. Mizzou is not either, but Mizzou gets to the free throw line a lot more than Miami. So if you want to find that difference, kind of in the paint, that could maybe be where it pops up. Another thing that Miami does particularly well, they are good on the offensive glass, kind of on both ends. They limit teams pretty well. They're top 25 in the country in that, and I think 17th in offensive rebound percentage. So they get a lot of O boards. They don't let other teams get a lot of O boards. That's where Ernest Uday Jr. comes up big for them. 7 points a game, around 9.3 rebounds. And then you pop it out to the backcourt, Kenny. This is a good tandem of guards that Miami has. I think it's pretty safe to say they're a little more trustworthy than who Mizzou's got back there. Trey Donaldson, he's their second leading scorer, 16 and a half, almost six assists a night. Hard thing to say. True Washington is a double figure scorer at around 12. He averages almost 4 boards too. And then this guy's a small forward, not quite a true backcourt player, but Shelton Henderson is their other double-digit scorer. He was a 4-star recruit. He's a freshman at about 13 points per game. What do you see when you look at that guard matchup, Kenny? Obviously, the Donaldson, Ant Robinson narrative plays up big as well. Those two went at it in high school, something I failed to mention in the bracket reaction.
I mentioned it.
These 2 teams. Well, you mentioned it.
Well, I mentioned it.
That should have
exists ever.
Right, yeah.
I think there's so many headlines in this game. I don't know who coined the phrase. I've heard it a lot, especially just this past week. But the team with the best guards usually win the games in March Madness in the NCAA tournament.
I brought that up.
You didn't coin that phrase.
I did. I just said I didn't. I just said I don't know who.
Payton pointed.
But I brought that up. I said I brought that up in the show that no longer exists.
Oh yes, you did.
So yeah, Trey Donaldson. I think he's averaging 16 and a half points right now. 6 assists. Thank you. I guess you brought this up as well. So, the guard play is just so different. Like we just mentioned, Tio Barrett hasn't had the best stretches of games across these past 3 losses. And it seems like a lot of teams have, figured him out too, just on the way to stop him on drives and get more physical with him and just stop him at the rim. With that as well, you can mute yourself. It's not even that bad. It's just funny your reaction. But I think this could be a very huge game for Anthony Robinson. I think from the sense of we don't know what his future holds. If that's going to be at Mizzou next year, if it's going to be somewhere else. I mean, he can improve himself so much with this performance. Going into his offseason, will this be one that he parlays into something where he finds a role again at Mizzou next year as a starter? Or is he going to test the waters and go somewhere else for that final year, considering some of the guards that are moving up through the Mizzou system? We don't know. But I think that's a big one, and that's where my mind kind of goes with that guard play. One thing I just want to point out because I was looking up Trey Donaldson, and like how it does the AI overview on Google. It says Miami guard or Miami led by head coach Jim Larinaga, and then it goes into Trey Donaldson. The one headline and one connection that there's so many connections. We can talk about CY. We can talk about some of these guys being teammates. Marcus Allen is a great story of how a lot of these Mizzou and Miami fans are getting together now and going back and putting more money into his GoFundMe. I mean, it's been a great thing to see. But one of the overlaps that we haven't talked about is that Jim Larinaga almost retired and Mizzou almost lost its head coach to Miami.
I think that was a rumored. That's Kenny and I's favorite thing to bring up because I think the first time we saw that was right after they lost to Oklahoma. And we saw that Konzo was just linked to Miami. And we were fired up. We were just like, well, we can go, man. Like, whatever. And also, I mean, that's before you go back even further, and I'll bring that up a little more later. If Missouri wins this game, and assuming Purdue does not lose to
Konzo revenge
Queens,
game.
That's Missouri-Purdue. I mean, Missouri had Matt Painter. Matt Painter told Missouri yes, apparently. from the way it's always told, before he went back to West Lafayette and they talked him out of it. And Missouri went on to hire Frank Haith from Miami. Very fun overlaps. I always love the storylines like that. I don't know if it's the journalist brain in me, but
Kenny, it's good you brought up the Marcus Allen thing, but is that just Missouri fans donating to the GoFundMe because Miami doesn't have any basketball fans?
it's not what I said. It's not what I said. I said they probably won't travel well to this game. They're a football school.
I know some reporters aren't going to come to the game either because it's one of those ones where it's, one and done you could be, and so you just don't know. So I know some Miami reporters might not be going to this game just from the entourage.
Really?
Yeah.
It happens more than you think, Payton. I promise.
You'd still have to go to this. Jeez.
It happens more than you think. There's a lot of good storylines, and yeah, Payton, we could do that at the end, but I'll throw my other nerd nuggets out there, and I know Payton wanted to add some things maybe on the backcourt. This is just from my research on Miami. I talked about the O-board percentage. I do find it really intriguing how balanced this team is. They're in the top 40 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. There's not necessarily one thing that they absolutely shine at. They're not, they're a good O-board team. They're not the best rebounding team. They're not the biggest team in the world. They're certainly not small. They don't shoot the lights out from three, but they're not, just plumb terrible that you can just play 2-3 zone and dare them to shoot all the time. They don't play a super strong tempo. Neither does Missouri. I think they're both in the 100s. They can steal the ball a little bit. They're top 50 in steal percentage. Missouri's in the 200s, whatever. I mean, it's very middling. They can get a decent amount of shots blocked. They're 255th in opponent block percentage, so they can have a lot of shots blocked. So maybe Sean Phillips can kind of step up there. Trent Burns if need be. But they're almost like a hard team to read in that way. But I think, where the biggest difference is for, Missouri might be that free throw line thing, where if they can truly win the battle of the paint, and frankly, these guards are going to do what they do. There have been teams this year that have taken Malik Reneau out of games against Miami, and they have struggled. Virginia Tech did a really good job of that. That's a team that didn't make the NCAA tournament. I think they ended up losing, but it was a 3-point game. Reneau had 8 points. So, there have been some teams that have figured him out. I also think, to the point with T.O. Barrett, it's a very real thing to me that these SEC schools that have studied Missouri all season long, I know Miami has a chance to do prep and can watch a lot of film, but
they've had a week to think about this.
Sure. But you face T.O., you look at Oklahoma and Arkansas who are facing T.O. Barrett for a second time. There is a little bit of an advantage there as opposed to a team that, maybe hasn't studied what Missouri has done. Maybe he can figure it out a little bit more against a team that's a little less familiar. But you're right. They do have a week to scout. So I might be grasping a little bit there. What else are you gleaning from this game, Payton, that might make the difference for either team? I know we both ended, Kenny, spoiler alert. We predicted Miami to win, both of us.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of covered all the bases. I think free throw rate is the free throw line is, I think, a big one in this one. Missouri gets there way more often than Miami, and they're both bad from the stripe, straight up bad. Both are within 0.1% of each other from the line, but the difference is Missouri gets there a lot more. So I think if you can find a way to get Mitchell going downhill early, kind of get him in some ISO ball, which is not typically my cup of tea, but if you can get Mitchell going early, get him to the line a few times, maybe get Reneau in foul trouble. I said this on the show yesterday as well, but I'm not going to claim to have grinded the film to study Malik Reneau's defensive power, but many have tried and failed to guard Mitchell in isolation without fouling. It's very hard to do. So I think you got to try and get that going early. Get Reneau in some foul trouble, see how this game's getting called, and adjust from there. If Missouri can get to the line way more often than Miami, I don't think the free throw percentage will matter much. I think that's a big advantage to Missouri. But like Jack mentioned, I don't know. I still kind of don't have a great feeling about this. I think the matchup that I keep going back to in my head is Trey Donaldson versus T.O. Barrett and Ant Robinson. I think Renault is a guy that maybe you kind of just have to tip your cap and say you're going to get yours. We're going to try and prevent Donaldson from running this offense efficiently and getting more guys involved, because then I think it could spiral. Donaldson's fantastic. He is everything I really wish Missouri had in the point guard this year. 6 assists a game, 16 points. He's a real floor general. I don't trust Ant and T.O. to be able to stop him right now. I don't have that faith in either one of them at this moment in time. So for that reason, I'll be sticking with my Miami prediction. I'll say Miami wins 68-64, and a lot of hard feelings from Missouri fans will be had after this one.
I'm with you. I think I was with both of you guys when we were doing predictions on the other show that I didn't delete. I did take Miami in this one. Was the line still 1.5 in favor of Miami yesterday? Okay, so still is the same on FanDuel right now. Over-under is set at 147.5. I think I'm going to roll with you, Payton. I think, it could change a lot just based on the last couple fouls that'll be called and free throws and how it'll shake either way. But I still think it'll be a 2-score game in favor of Miami.
74-66 Miami. I'm leaning even more away. I'm starting to get really worried about Uday and the difference that he might make on the glass. If you put him in the SEC right now, he'd be the conference's second leading rebounder. Now, granted, Missouri has actually beaten the teams who have the top 3. It's 2 on Florida and 1 on Texas A&M. But you scroll down the line at guys who can just hound the glass. Dylan Swain lost. Trevin Brazil lost twice. Markel Sutton and Paulo Tamba, who are both on LSU, lost. Amari Allen on Alabama lost. Vocatitis Texas lost. I don't know. They haven't been super good at dealing with teams that have, kind of a decently dynamic forward, a few good guards, and also a guy who can just gobble up rebounds. And I think that's going to be a lot for Sean Phillips to handle on top of what the backcourt is going to have to deal with Donaldson. I also really like True Washington as a player for Miami. I've liked him for a bit now. He's good. But we'll see. I think the Renault Mitchell battle is going to be a fascinating one. But yeah, I feel the more I talk about it, the less and less confident I feel. But we'll see what they can pull off, and we'll end it with this. Payton, give your regional connections. We talked about some of the connections on this game, or around this game specifically. Of course, hey, if Mizzou wins, they're going to go to the Elite Eight. That's what the history books tell you. But Payton, there's some other demons you could exercise. You should share this again, because these were some fun connections. He's got a list, Penny. Look at it. Look at him doing some prep.
So you go down the list here. Obviously, we touched on the Miami-Purdue one. I would add on top that this regional is being played in the Enterprise Center, where Missouri, of course, lost by 43 to Illinois. So really big chance at redemption there. You go down, let's say they meet the Sweet 16, which, again, this is not me predicting. I'm just looking at the possible matchups. You could potentially run into, in fact, you'd be favored probably, to run into Gonzaga, who, of course, was who Missouri was supposed to play had they beaten Oklahoma in another late season collapse in the last tournament team under Konzo. You win that, you could either play Arkansas, which is a game I don't even want to think about in the Elite Eight. I would lock my phone in a chest before that game starts. Obviously, you could end Trevin Brazil's career. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Or you could play Arizona. Oh, by the way, if Missouri plays Queens, that's the ultimate demon to exercise for
15 seed.
Missouri could play Arizona, who, of course, a couple of years ago in Dennis's first season is who we thought they were going to play as that 2 seed that lost to Princeton. I don't remember what happened after that. Arizona, of course, is also notably the team that beat Missouri in the Elite Eight in Missouri's Big Eight, undefeated Big Eight season in the 90s. I don't remember the exact year. Missouri could also play Wisconsin, John Tonje, Utah State. Of course, that was Dennis's first and only tournament win at Missouri. They could also play High Point in Hawaii. Hawaii, I guess, had Drew Buggs, but can't think of any other connection there. So
I went to Hawaii in December of 2024.
We know.
Yeah, I was there. What else can I say? Oh, when I was in Hawaii, Kevin Coleman Jr. committed to Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the university?
No, I wasn't on the Big Island.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about. I mean, Texas, Missouri's played them a bunch. Kennesaw State, they were going to have Amari Odom on campus once.
Oh, Texas played its game right after Missouri that one year in the tournament that we went to, 2021.
Oh, yeah?
That's right, Abilene Christian. Shaka Smart's last game.
Any Sean Miller Missouri things?
Not that. I mean, I wanted Sean Miller when they fired Konzo.
What about the Final Four, Payton? What are there any there?
I don't know. They could play Michigan. Jalen Rose apparently almost came to Mizzou. There was apparently a weird. We talked to Gabe DeArmond about that once. Like there was a crazy Mizzou to Detroit connection.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that was
almost got them Jalen Rose apparently.
That was a fun thing we did where we asked him, these are our favorites. What ifs? What are yours? And then he just gave us names that we would have never known that were at any.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch that episode because some of the names he said blew my mind. Like we gave him like Ezekiel Elliott, like everyone knew about the Ezekiel Elliott one. Like Jalen Rose was kind of a deeper cut, but like you've heard of it before. But yeah, Gabe gave us some good ones, and that's when he explained the like Norm Stewart Detroit connection. But we're going off on a crazy tangent, but
there you go. There's your Miami Mega preview. This one will exist, I promise. And we will exist for the rest of the show. We'll kick it back to our past selves. We filled out the rest of the bracket. We made our picks. Each got a region. Javon Pickett the Squirrel also got a region. And so we have a full bracket for you as well. Happy March Madness. We'll see how it shakes out between Mizzou and Miami on Friday night. Going to be a big one. We talked about why for Mizzou, packed Enterprise Center. Have fun if you're going. Throw us a score prediction in the comments, and we'll kick it to ourselves with the bracket and some football news for Mizzou. All right, it's bracket time. It's also Mizzou news time. We're amending this segment a little bit. We're not going to do quick hits time as normal. We were just going to fill out our bracket, and then a bunch of Mizzou football stuff happened. So we are going to talk about that momentarily. But I say let's have some fun first, fellas, before we get into the nitty-gritty of Mizzou football with some of the news not so positive on that front. But we're going to do the unwritten rule bracket. We just talked, Payton and I just previewed Mizzou, Miami. We're going to, we've scrutinized that game. Let's scrutinize the rest of the field a little bit here, fellas. This is how we divided it up. We each got a region, and now you might be asking yourselves, Jack, Kenny, Payton, you're only 3 people. There are 4 regions. How are you going to do that? Our own Javon Pickett the Squirrel has picked the 4th region. So we're gonna have him do that for us. By which I mean I will be Googling a wheel decide, and that will be deciding region number 4. We figured that was the most objective. We're gonna do that for the West because that's the one Mizzou's in. So we figured keep it objective about Mizzou. Let fate decide what befalls the Tigers in the big dance. But we did divide up the other 3 regions. We're going to start in the East. And actually, we spun a wheel beforehand. I have the East region. So, fellas, I'm going to make my picks. And we can agree or disagree. And we can haggle as we go. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Duke Siena. Here we go. Saints to the second round. They're going to go March.
Western New York, baby. Let's go.
No, I do have the Blue Devils. Payton knows exactly who I'm picking in between TCU and Ohio State.
Yeah, I know you're picking this, but it's a really, objectively a bad pick.
I'm just going to keep clicking them.
Bad pick.
I'm going St. John's over Northern Iowa. This one I think is also going to get some disagreement. The world's going to learn the name Don Daniels.
No, take the emotion out of it. That's not happening.
Another one Payton and I have talked about off air. I got the Bulls of South Florida over Louisville. I'm going Michigan State over North Dakota State. I'm going UCLA over Central Florida, and UConn over Furman. Second round, give me Duke over TCU. I will take the Johnnies to the Sweet 16. I'm going to go Michigan State, and then this might be another one that could get contentious. I'm going to pick UCLA to beat UConn in round number 2. Give me Duke to the Elite 8. Give me the Spartans just barely. These two teams split the regular season matchup between UCLA and Michigan State. Duke to the Final Four. What do we think? Any we want to retract or change?
You gotta take the emotion out of Kansas, Cal Baptist.
I'm gonna counter with this.
We're suited to play Kansas.
I disagree with that for two reasons.
I'm gonna dive into the Torvik weeds here.
I'll dive into the Torvik weeds too. 10 spots. That's the amount of spots that separates Kansas and Cal Baptist since February 17th. All of Kansas's losses, the teams in Ken Palm were better defensive teams than they were offensive teams. Cal Baptist is a much better defensive team than they are an offensive team. My third reasoning, Dom Daniels.
Oh my gosh.
Stud. Big shot taker, big shot maker. Darren Peterson will play 25 minutes and sit out the rest of the game. Cal Baptist is winning.
Do we know about that, though? Did you see Darren Peterson got his own story in The Athletic? He got to tell the reason why he hasn't been playing as much.
He did. I actually have been meaning to read that.
Here's what I'll say on this matchup. These teams are separated despite your February 17th metric. Torvik still has this as a double-digit spread, okay? A 10-point deal, all right? This is not – it doesn't really do –
Probably had UMBC Virginia a double-digit spread, too.
How many times has a 16 beat a 1 ever?
This isn't a 16 to 1. It's a 4 to 13. With you.
I'd love to see Cal Baptist. Cal Baptist is 300th in the nation in effective field goal percentage. Kansas, as a defense, holds opponents to, hold on, I'll find it again, 4th in the country in effective field goal percentage against. This is not a good pick, Jack.
What's Tom Daniels' effective field goal percentage? Just by himself. That's all I need.
Let's take a look at Mr. Daniels here, because you're right. For those that don't know, I currently attend UTA, so I am familiar with Mr. Daniels' game. He's a great player. But man, Jack, this is the classic high usage, high stat number.
Okay,
guy.
Fine. I can agree with this. Do we think Kansas is going to beat St. John's? Because
no,
I
do not. I think
then if we're not going to take them to the Sweet 16, I'm fine just picking the upset.
Fair
so
enough.
We lose more points?
Yeah.
No. What if we have a chance at the $1 million and you're doing this?
We have a chance. Every game starts 0-0. Is that the only one we're contentious on?
I still think, despite McCall Brown not
argument
for Louisville, I do think Louisville will win that game still. But I don't really think they're going to beat Michigan State either way, so I'm fine with that. UCLA, I go back and forth on that UCLA UConn game. I can see it either way.
That's fair.
I kind of think I lean UConn most of the time, but on my paper bracket, I took UCLA, and then I did have Michigan State beating them anyways. But
are we fine with Duke to the Final Four? No St. John's case?
Very easily.
I think I am too. Okay. I kind of want to keep Cal Baptist just for the fun, but I'd be willing to put Louisville instead of South Florida if Kenny.
Either way, I don't have either of those teams winning another game. I think the Cal Baptist thing is a trick.
I'm willing to be tricked.
Okay. Be tricked.
Kenny, any final
He's going to look
thoughts?
like a genius when he gets this one right.
Yes,
I took South Florida.
I'll eat crow on it gladly because I'd like for you to be right. I like the chaos, especially when it happens to Kansas, but I don't know that I'm down with that one.
It's fair, and I'll eat crow if I'm wrong, but I'm gonna have some fun with that one. All right, we'll pencil it in. Kenny, let's do your region next because you had the South, correct?
Yep, I have the South.
We'll go to the South. You want to? You can just say them. You can just
I'll just say them. You're gonna pick them.
Yeah.
So you're controlling.
Go
Florida.
ahead. All right.
Payton. Taking Iowa.
I think Iowa will win that game.
Okay. Vanderbilt.
Nebraska.
North Carolina. Illinois after the news today.
TJ Power not.
Oh,
not
we heard.
I think he's sick.
Weather. He may not play.
Damn. All right.
I don't know. I just picked this one in my only bracket I made just because I wanted a higher seed to go forward. Let's take Texas A&M and then Houston.
Okay. Keep going.
Florida.
All right. Florida.
Vanderbilt.
Illinois.
And Houston.
We got straight. Well, not quite straight chalk. You got a 5, 5 and a 1.
Vanderbilt.
Yes, Kenny. I'm so
And then
proud of you
Illinois.
right now. I'm
Illinois.
so proud of you.
Yeah, the Illinois-Houston one's a tough one for me, but I'm going to take Illinois
I'm not
there.
proud of you anymore. All right, I was proud of you.
You wanted
Vanderbilt
Houston?
I like Houston.
No. Finish it out and then we'll argue.
No, but it's yours. It's your region.
Yeah, finish it
Let's
out
go
and then we'll
Vandy.
argue.
Oh my goodness, he's taking Vandy.
Vandy?
A team that feels slighted for being a 5. I'm taking Vandy.
First of all, I love that you are on the Vandy train. I think the Vandy McNeese discourse is some of the most delusional stuff I've ever seen. Vandy, let me read you the Torvik top 10 here, all right? And I'm not even going to read you the teams. I'm going to read you the seeds in order from 1 to 10. 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, 2 seed, 2 seed, 2 seed, 5 seed. That 5 seed is the Vanderbilt Commodores. This is a fantastic basketball team. I have no idea why people are down on them. They do struggle with like bigger, more athletic teams, which on paper should be a death knell against Florida. But both times Vanderbilt has played Florida, first time a 4-point loss, second time a 20-point romper in the SEC tournament. I like this Vanderbilt team a lot. I think this is a good draw for them. I think Nebraska is the worst 4 seed in the field by far. I'm not going to pick Troy over them just because Troy doesn't do a whole ton super well. I think Nebraska can get by that, but I like Vandy a lot. I have them going to the Elite Eight as well. I disagree on the Illinois-Houston thing. I think I have Houston coming out of this region, but I don't think it's egregious. Illinois has a Final Four ceiling.
I am pretty willing to live with this too. You talk about teams that have been really good like recently. Illinois is one of them.
Illinois has been bad recently.
They figured out I thought they were up there with Torvik in the last.
They're number 6 in Torvik, but I'm pretty sure they've lost a lot of games lately. Okay, they're kind of up and down. They lost 2, won 2, lost 2, won 2, lost. All
right, so it's mixed.
Opener. Yeah.
I'm willing to live with this one. I do think Florida will win the third game against Vanderbilt just at the high stakes. I'm complete agreement with Payton. I think they're going to the Sweet 16. I think you could pencil that in. I also have Houston coming out of the region, but I'm willing to live with Illinois. Kenny, if you want to stand on it, I'm willing to let this be a Vandy Final Four run. And if it's Illinois-Vandy, I do think Vandy can get the better of Illinois. If we do,
I will also say I am picking VCU over UNC.
Oh yeah, I would like to go to bat actually for that one, and I want to take St. Mary's over Texas A&M.
I do think St.
All
Mary's.
right, we'll flip them because I just wanted one of those games to be an upset, so we'll do that by seeding, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll do
St. Mary's and then we'll go VCU.
There we go. All right,
St. Mary's and Houston will be the first ever bar fight to determine the winner.
Yeah, 21-26 final. All right, Payton, hit us with the Midwest.
All right, Midwest. I'm going off my paper bracket, actually. I tried to have a little fun with it, but I just think it's chalky in general. I like that you're picking Howard for me. That would do wonders for Mizzou. But no, I'm going to take Michigan, obviously. UGA St. Louis is a absolute coin flip to me, and I just went with UGA because I've seen them play more. So I don't think either of these teams is beating Michigan. Spoiler alert. Tech Akron. In my bracket, I have a total of 2 double-digit seeds winning their first round game. Akron is one of them. I'll totally acknowledge on paper Tech matches up really well with Akron. Akron kind of doesn't defend the 3-point well, and Tech can shoot. But man, Tech is so injured. Toppin is out for the year, obviously. They have Anderson back, I think, but Anderson's not super healthy. And I'll be completely honest, though, their showing in the Big 12 tournament has put the fear of God in me. Like, I think that team is in trouble. I think that this is just, it's not their fault, but I think it's a lost year for them. I have Alabama over Hofstra, even though Aiden Holloway's having that whole deal. I'm going to go with Tennessee over, I have SMU. Virginia over Wright State. Sorry, Raiders. Kentucky, Santa Clara. This is another straight coin flip for me. I'm going to go Kentucky just because it's in St. Louis, and I think Kentucky fans will overrun that building. Iowa State will beat Tennessee State easily. I'm going to go with Michigan over Georgia. I'd love to say Akron would win this game, but Alabama would probably shoot the lights out against them, so I'll go with Alabama, somehow making it out of that quadrant there. Tennessee, Virginia, very interesting, very similarly matched teams in Torvik. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I don't, and this flies in the face of everything I've said about Tennessee all year, but I think that I like that draw for them in that quadrant. Iowa State, Kentucky. I'll take Iowa State, even though I could see Kentucky catching fire. And unfortunately, I go straight chalk from here. Michigan, Iowa State, and then I have Michigan out of the Midwest.
I'm willing to be fine with this. I think Tech is absolutely beating Akron for the reasons you said.
Yeah, they could, but I don't know. I like Akron. I feel like they've been here so many times they have to get one eventually. Tech's wounded. I feel like there's a world that exists.
That's fine. If you're going to give me Cal Baptist, I don't think I can not give you Akron. I also think either one of either Tech or Alabama is going to give Michigan a really good game. Even though I like Michigan. My big one, I'm really torn up because I'm really sad Michigan, Iowa State, and Virginia are all in the same region because there are a few brackets I filled out where I legitimately think Virginia could go to the Final Four. I think they're that good. I think they will out Tennessee, and I think they could give Iowa State a lot of problems. And then they match up super well with Michigan with all the size. So,
and
I would flip the Tennessee to Virginia. That said, Jacoby Gillespie's a hell of a player for Tennessee. I'm a little worried about how Nate Ament's going to do in the tournament. He doesn't seem, I don't know. That seems shaky to me.
And I'll totally grant, defense ordinarily is, kind of what's key to these runs. Obviously, Virginia has an excellent defense, and Odom has kind of modernized the offense a bit. That could totally happen. I don't know. I've seen Tennessee play more, so that certainly is probably a bias that's influencing me. I have watched Virginia a few times, and I've liked them every time I've watched them. They gave Duke a great game in the ACC title game. Arguably could have won that, but Duke's obviously missing Foster. I don't know. If you want to flip that, you can flip that. I don't think either one will beat Iowa State. Although there is the whole argument that Iowa State, while their defense is fantastic, their offense always seems to catch up with them. And prevents a really deep run. So I don't know. It's a tricky situation there.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised how far you had Tennessee going. I think that was my only thing.
Let's go. You know what? Let's go ahead and just flip Virginia in there. Let's put Virginia in there.
Would that mean you have all the top 4 seeds in the Elite Eight? Okay.
Sometimes that happens. It would be Sweet 16, but
Sweet, yeah.
Okay, so we'll flip that to Virginia. And then, I have prepared. I'm kind of doing some live producing. I think this should work. I might have to spin one game at a time, but we've gone down to Mr.
Hold up. We're doing this for every game?
No.
Including the 16-1?
I don't have to, but the only thing I can hit is start simulation. I think it'll do all the first round games at once, so I'll just do that. It'll do the whole bracket, but we'll just look at the West. Oh, sorry. I guess it does the first 4 first. Okay, here we go.
And now we got. Oh wait, the West is the one.
No, it goes. It'll
Arizona,
do it.
Mizzou
loses.
That's pretty much what I have.
Okay, so I'll fill it out as it. I'll come back to it as it spins. So we'll go back up to the West. At Arizona, Utah State. This is great podcasting.
That's what I would have.
Wisconsin, Arkansas, BYU, Gonzaga, Miami, and Purdue. So very, very chalk from Javon. Let's see, second round.
I think what's going to happen.
Would you look at that?
No.
Utah State to the Sweet 16 and Arkansas to the Sweet 16. BYU
I will say Arkansas,
Purdue.
Hawaii, for those looking for like an actual take, I think Arkansas, Hawaii will be the biggest blowout in the first round. Arkansas will win that by like 50.
Did it stop? Oh, it stopped.
God, no. Yes, Utah State.
Utah State and BYU, the Mormon battle to go to the Final
Four. I thought
Four.
we had a real solid bracket up until this point. And BYU's going. Big BYU folks. Without their best player is going to the Final Four.
There we go. BYU, Michigan, Duke, and Vandy. Okay, we didn't really approach how to decide this.
Why don't we talk through it?
we there's three of us. We could vote.
All right.
Okay, Duke Vanderbilt. Who raise your hand or say I since it's a podcast for Duke.
I like this.
I.
Duke wins.
Was it for Duke?
Yeah.
Duke to the championship.
Wins. Michigan, BYU. Say I if you want to vote for BYU in this one.
The squirrel didn't get to vote. But now, I'm glad we know what Javon Pickett, the squirrel, nomination
Javon Pickett,
is.
A squirrel. Okay, so Duke, Michigan in the title game. This is a rematch of the regular season that, of course, Duke
144. That's what I always do.
144.
About 73-71 game. That's solid. I do like 150s normally. I'd probably take Michigan.
Give me an I for Michigan.
I. That would be.
Should we let him make a case? Do you get to make a brief case as the loser? No.
What's the it's like you go back and look at all the best Duke teams have never actually won. There's like 99 Duke, never got over the hump. I think this is a Duke team that does it. I'm a big Cam Boozer fan. I think this Duke Blue Devils team can actually pull through on this one. Especially, a lot of these, not a lot, but a few of these guys were in this situation last year.
Yeah, last year's team was arguably one of those.
That's really, really noble, Kenny. Adai Mara's really fucking tall. Give me the Wolverines to win.
They seem like an analytics superhero, so I'm going to go with Michigan.
I like Michigan.
For the record, in my actual bracket, I have Arizona not losing to Utah State and winning the tournament.
It's not our actual. This is our actual bracket. This is the one on tape. I'm submitting it.
No, this is my actual one I write on.
There we go. Yay!
You've created 19 brackets.
Ignore that.
I used to fill out a ton of brackets. Over the years, I've become more of a fewer and fewer bracket guy.
I have a paper one that I have committed to. My other thing is I also make them very themed and very in the moment. I'll label them as this is what I made while I was doing this. This is what I made that has, it's this theme based on this metric, based on this, it's a mascot fight or how far they are from a Culver's or whatever. So I go very themed. I have a lot of fun. I like to have fun with it. But I do make a lot of brackets. All right, there you go. We've got Michigan. Once again, the Final Four. Michigan selected by Payton. Duke selected by me. Vanderbilt selected by Kenny. And BYU selected by the squirrel. If Richie Saunders was healthy, there'd be an argument to be made that Kenny has the hottest take there, but he's not. So there you have it. All right, before we go, boys, we do have some football news to discuss. I wasn't expecting this, but it's been a busy kind of week out of the spring practice world, out of the recruiting world. Kenny, do you want to hit us with the recruits first, or do you want to talk about the spring injuries first? The good news or bad news?
All right, we'll go good news. I think because it'll take a little bit longer. Missouri got two.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to intro it for you, but you go crazy, dude. Go crazy.
It feels like you already introed it. So thank you for the intro. Missouri got two
commits, guys, in the class of 2020. No. Go ahead.
Missouri football got two commits.
Missouri
on
got
Tuesday.
2 commits in football.
The class of 2027 on Tuesday. A little bit of surprise just on the timing of them. Certainly with Jack Brown, the tight end from Cotterville, Francis Howell Central, it made the most sense that it was coming sooner or later. He was supposed to visit on March 7th. That visit got postponed due to his basketball season. It got pretty far. They were on a pretty good win streak. it was a pretty historic season for Francis Howell Central his last year playing basketball, because a lot of the guys who are enrolling early in January of their senior years will not be playing their spring or their winter sports, or they're just going to finish out high school as football players. So his basketball season was going pretty long, pretty meaningful one just to him and his family, with basketball always being that mainstay. So the visit got pushed until Tuesday. I had a pretty good inkling that it was happening. His dad was going, his mom, his stepmother, his sister, his brother, Adele Metz, a family friend, went as well, and she's a softball commit for the Missouri Tigers, so a lot of good connections just throughout the family. His dad went to Illinois, his stepmom went to Mizzou, so a lot of connections to the two teams that were at the top of his list, with Arizona State also in that picture near the end. But it really came down to Mizzou. Opportunity to follow in the footsteps of two Francis Howell tight ends, so a rival of Jack, and Jude James and Brett Norfleet. He grew up watching Brett Norfleet in middle school, and then his freshman year he got to play against Jude James, who was a senior at Francis Howell. So I think that was pretty cool that he gets to follow in those footsteps. He always gets to hang out with those guys when he's on visits. Back in January, he sat between them at the basketball game on Junior Day on January 31st. I can tell you one more thing just about Jack Brown. Not the best at Mario Kart. From what I've heard, what he told me, he said when there's Mario Kart, like actual Mario Karts in Drinkwitz's basement at his home. And he said Lawrence Britt beat him and a couple other guys beat him. So not the best Mario Kart guy. But yeah, Jack's got a freakish length. People have seen him before. He's over 6'6", 240 pounds, pushing around 225, 230. So he's got a lot of size to him. He's a very good blocker. At Francis Howell, they had him playing off the edge too. But he can high point footballs. You can see on this play right here. I'm actually in this clip.
What
I'm in this clip
here. Wait a minute. I wanted you to tell us about that, Kenny. Look at this. I would have wound a little bit too far. Look at the beginning of this play.
Just the motion.
Watch it. This guy gets nailed with the ball and he fumbles it.
Yeah.
And then he hucks.
I'm in this clip. I have the lime green shirt right there, and I actually have a video of this play.
Got posted by Max Preps.
Yeah, Max Preps posted, a bunch of people posted it. Yeah,
really
that's funny.
Midfield logo. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, that's massive.
Definitely.
So that was
if you want, but
the first one. He's made 11 unofficial visits to Missouri. I mean, that's incredible too. He's gotten up to that number. So it was a long time coming for this one, and pretty meaningful just to kind of get that one done for him as well. When I went to see him in February, he told me that the only visit on his schedule for the next couple of weeks was that March 7th visit for Mizzou. So that also kind of gave me a thought, hey, this one might be coming down to the end soon. Drinkwitz even joked with him. He texted him once, I'm the only coach that's visited you for a basketball game and a football game. He did it in his junior year. He went to watch him against Vianney. He went to a basketball game as well with Alex Atkins and Curtis Looper in January. So a lot of good connections, a lot of good pushes. He's been around so long being recruited by Missouri that there's been 3 tight ends coaches. He wasn't offered by Eric Link, but he was recruited by him. He was offered by Durham Cato, and now he's been recruited by Alex Atkins. Very big pickup for Mizzou. It's going to be a January enrollee. I don't see this, anyone else getting involved. I'm sure Illinois will stay in contact. Schools always stay in contact. But I think this one is pretty much a done deal for Mizzou. And I think that's a pretty good win all around for the Tigers to keep him home.
Yeah, I mean, Jude James, there's still, I guess, some a lot of time left for him, but he looks like a high potential player. And Norfleet, of course, save for the injuries, has been, really good when he's able to be healthy and be out there. So, why not continue the pipeline? This seems like a very, very nice get for Mizzou. Payton, you have any thoughts, or we make Kenny rant about the next one? Sorry, rant sounds mean. Kenny, very good information, but
do you know he was a priority, Payton? He was a priority target. Yeah, I mean, I loved, covering Jack. I'm not done. Still got one more story on him, but pretty cool that he played his final basketball game against Rich.
Playing at Mizzou right here.
That's not at Mizzou. It's Festus.
I know, I'm not.
Corrected you. He played his last high school basketball game against Ridge James, who's the other top tight end in the state, but in the class of 2028, his dad, the name sounds familiar, is Rhino James, who played fullback for the Tigers in the 90s. He's a sophomore right now at DeSmet. So just another name to be aware of. And they're close already. I posted some photos of them together after their game this past weekend. I mean, Jack's a good guy. I mean, I love his coach too. Coach Radigan over at Francis Howell Central has done a good job, and he's had a lot of positive things to say about Jack as well during this process.
No doubt.
The next one, Chris Harris Jr. I think this one came a little bit of a surprise on the timing. If you look at it from the point of view of, hey, this guy has been kind of visiting Mizzou a handful of times. He got his offer for the season finale against Mississippi State. He wasn't even ranked yet at the time. Came back in January, and then in February he debuted on the Rivals 300. His first ranking, he was a 4-star wide receiver, ranked inside the 270 in that 300 ranking for the class of 2027. A lot of, he's very speedy, 10.7, 100 meter dash, very good time for a wide receiver. And all around, keeping a guy like him in state is massive when there was a lot more offers coming his way. Tennessee, Alabama, Oklahoma State with the new retooled offense was interested in him as well. Kansas State right across the border from him in Leaf Summit West. There's a lot of interest from around the country, some Power 4 schools. Getting him committed was a big deal. He visited this past Saturday, so locked that one up. He has an official visit for June 5th. You've seen a lot of commits go and visit for that last weekend in June. I don't necessarily know if that will be the case. I think it would probably behoove Missouri to keep him on that June 5th weekend because it's the same weekend that Lawrence Britt and Tay Walden Jr. are also visiting Missouri. Of course, a lot of, if anyone follows Mizzou recruiting, Lawrence Britt is a very well-known name for those that are very interested in the guys that are interested in Mizzou. If he's not committed by anywhere, then if he's not committed to Mizzou by then, because that's certainly in the cards, then I think it'd probably be the best because he's close. I mean, I would say they're close. Chris Harrison and Lawrence Britt. I've seen them interact on social media. I've heard them, they talked before. So if you get them on the same visit, I mean, that's probably a good thing to sell to Lawrence Britt if he's going to take all of his OVs and kind of look through his options and not make a decision before that period starts in late May.
It looks like just a really explosive target. I think it's great too, like to get these two guys, in state early, and it's just it's a nice like early win, in the cycle and in the timeline of all of this. I don't know if you have any thoughts there, Payton, but I feel like, keeping a 4-star prospect in state, we've known some of the struggles of this team in the post Luther Burden era at wideout, trying to get, the right guys signed and the right, people around some of these quarterbacks, that how big that's going to be. Kevin Coleman was one of them to get in the portal. I feel like you had a guy like this, got like, even Nashawn Montgomery on the current roster, who's got a lot of potential. It could be exciting. I really like this ad for Mizzou.
Just feels like, I don't know if Kenny could maybe shed more light on it. It certainly feels like the level of recruits on campus the last couple weeks, really this past weekend, have kind of ramped up as compared to springs in the past. So I don't know what goes into that, obviously, and maybe it's just me seeing things, but certainly it's felt like that's ratcheted up lately.
I think it's in part to the changes on staff, new additions. Chop Harbin, new defensive line coach, has played a part. He got Rashad Streets on campus, top 65 prospect. He didn't even have Missouri in his top group, but Chop went to see him in January during the contact period, went to visit him, went out to dinner with his family, stayed in contact with him there. It kind of was up in the air if the visit would happen. It finally happened. There was a Zoom meeting between Streets and Brian Early before the visit to go over film, kind of show him what, he would see his role at the next level. And that kind of sold Rashad on that too. He was like, hey, it's not just Coach Harbin who's, pushing me to come here. Coach Early wants me here as well. So he came and did that visit. Still in the works of an official visit schedule. He has a couple more spring practice visits before he puts that together. And that usually starts the last weekend in May. Some schools do official visits in April. Kind of just comes down to that schools like Illinois and Arizona State, who have spring practices around them, can also do official visits as well, and center those around those trips. So I think it's I think Mizzou's been in a good spot of this new staff. Chip Lindsey, Garrett Riley, even some of these other assistants behind them that they've added to the staff has really expanded the recruiting reach, especially just through the state of Tennessee recently and some of these 2028 offers. all around, I think Missouri is trending in the right direction, recruiting wise, and kind of goes back to what Drinkwitz said on signing day of, we'll take commitments now, we'll take commitments in the summer. You're still going to evaluate tape through your senior year before we finalize NIL and finalize everything, the official offer with you. When you're hot, you're hot. If you can take Jack Brown now, if you can take Chris Harris Jr. now and keep those guys locked in, two guys that grew up watching Mizzou football, grew up coming to some of these games on visits, do it. I mean, that's the best thing you can do. You have Myson Johnson Cook, one of the top running backs in the country at East St. Louis, right across the river. He was on a visit on Tuesday. Amari Irvin, who's a committed linebacker to Notre Dame, visited this past weekend. I mean, if you can get those guys in the fold as well, you do it. It doesn't really matter when. I mean, if you can get some of those guys that you're really high on, and Missouri is, very high on Myson Johnson Cook as their, prize target. If they can get him, I mean, they'll do it as soon as they can. I mean, it's not some of these guys you just don't wait around on.
You'd rather compete from the front than the middle of the pack. If a commitment, if nothing else, affirms where you stand and maybe affirms to other schools, hey, this is the team that is doing the best right now and is presenting the best situation right now. So it's good that Mizzou is already doing that for some of these top in-state guys. All right, the bad news on the current roster, not great injury news coming out of spring camp for Mizzou. The prized offensive lineman Josh Atkins is hurt, and per Chris Lowe, Kenny, could miss the start of the 2026 season. That's not good. Obviously, given how much pedigree he had, one of the better portal gets for this team. What might become of the Tigers O-line from both of you? Because I know Payton, obviously, you're going to be tapped into it as well in terms of names, guys who might have to step up. But this is not a great thing to have happen. I think what Payton, I'm going to kind of steal your thunder here. Without a spring practice, we're kind of at the point where no news is good news, because the only news that comes out might be injury. That's important is injury related, and usually injury related is not good. Not good.
Yeah, the big thing about losing Josh Atkins is that right tackle spot has become the left tackle job. You are the blindside blocker for Austin Simmons. When you bring in a guy with 5 year, going into his 5th year of college football, and he's played at Houston, he's played at Hawaii, and then he played in Arizona State, coming over to Missouri, and there was expectations.
That is, if nothing else, 3 really warm places and 2 quite beautiful ones. Columbia has a wonderful campus, but that's tough.
Beautiful ones. He was talking about Hawaii and Houston.
You're right. Yes.
Love the Third Ward. Good, rich traditions.
Concrete
there.
jungle.
Yeah. Well, we got trees. We got trees in Houston.
Not really.
Yeah. So that's the big downer is you don't know. Drinkwitz even said his quote from him. They'll be back at some point, probably not for the first of camp, but some point in that September, October timeframe, we'll be able to get them back. You'll know more once you get closer, and you don't put pads on and start hitting each other again until that late July, early August window when you start ramping up for the season. He mentioned Logan Reichert, who I really thought was going to be just shoved at one of those guard spots moving forward. But he's in that opportunity, redshirt junior. That's a name people have known for a long time, coming over from the KC area. And then junior transfer Luke Work from Mississippi State, who's taken snaps at tackle before. I saw him more as the 6th offensive lineman coming in this year, and I don't think that's a detriment to him. I think it was just there was a lot of offensive linemen in the room, and he could play 4 spots on the offensive line. So that's where it kind of stands right now among those spots. And, I don't know how it'll shake out, because that is a very important position. I think it's probably the most important position on the offensive line at this time, because you have a quarterback who doesn't have too much experience playing just in general in college. He doesn't have too many snaps, so there's a lot of trust in Austin Simmons, but you want his backside protected.
Not good.
Logan Reichert. Man, him protecting the blind side, that would be something, wouldn't it? Just how Mizzou fans grew it up, right, Kenny?
Payton's
in 20.
No, I'm not at all.
If you think, what was he, class of 2023? So I think people probably would have expected him in that offensive line 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah, they would have. And I don't think he's played a snap, has he?
A productive, not
a real snap. That's for sure.
No,
he also missed.
He's played a snap. Period.
He missed 8 weeks last year with an undisclosed injury.
Not like he would he have played otherwise, you think?
Not good on the injury front on the Mizzou offensive line. And then Drinkwitz talked, Payton, I'll let you take this one. Drinkwitz talked about college football becoming Major League Baseball. What'd you think of that? If you had an opinion.
Certainly an interesting quote. I think he used what figures did he use? He used $45
it was like if teams are
15?
paying $45 million and then other teams are paying 20 or 15 million, I think were the numbers.
I don't know, man. I mean, he has had a good vibe on kind of how Wild West college football has been for years now, so I won't totally discredit it. I would say I would push back about the point he had about how MLB is not getting its TV contracts at once. That'll happen to college football. I don't know that I'd go there, as long as some of the bigger brands are good. College football is going to inherently be more popular than baseball. But I mean, he certainly isn't totally off base. There's got to be, but I mean, we've said this for years now. There's got to be some sort of regulation or guardrails in this sport, and it just doesn't seem like it's ever coming at this point. So,
I think we should let Charles Barkley and Dick Vitale handle it. They seemed like they had a good grasp on it the other night on the.
That was last.
Am I looking at Payton? Because I know my screen's reversed.
Yes, you are. You're side-eyeing Payton. Oh, nope. Now
you're
looking at me. I thought you were just it's the other way. There you go.
What are you doing?
That's what Dick Vitale did to Chuck. He kissed him.
Yes.
See that?
He did.
You didn't see that?
He
Oh,
did.
I have a Chuck hat. Give me a second.
I was so confused by what you were doing. But anyways,
I mean, I'm with you, Peyton. It is, yeah. I think he kind of nailed it again, and I think it is a good thing. This is to spin it all the way back to Mizzou. I feel like it is a good thing when your coach has a good pulse on that, because I think that also shows he understands how to play the game as it currently stands, even if he really wants it changed. As
best as he can. I don't think it's any secret Missouri's not. I don't think I should be hurting a lot of feelings when I say I really doubt Missouri ever wins a college football natty. I mean, they're just simply not on the same level, money-wise, as some of these teams. As that really is just the harsh reality at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. But you're right. There's got to be some sort of checks and balances, even for those teams at the top, so that it's not just completely unfair and therefore uninteresting.
But I don't even know how you do that, because there wasn't even that technically in the past with Texas and Alabama, and
I don't know,
brands like that.
I do still maintain that good coaching can still sometimes try.
Sure, look at Indiana. Although Indiana, I'll always contend, is very unique because the donor level they have at Indiana is something that very few universities can replicate, and they're so hands off. They let Cignetti do whatever he wants. Why wouldn't you? The one good
point I do circle back to that actually Chuck made, shout out, good hat, Kenny, is in football it's a little easier because you have to have these guys for multiple years, but eventually the ROI is just not going to be there for these donors. They're not going to want to give this money. They're not getting anything back. They're not getting a share of the TV revenue, that the college earns from competing in this stuff. Eventually they're just we're just burning money here so you can maybe recruit.
Again, I feel like we've said that for a few years now. Eventually donors are just gonna want to go back to getting their name on a plaque or something. But it hasn't happened yet.
That's true.
And it has only been a few years, so maybe eventually they get.
I just think I don't want to say this because I guess I am a sports fan. If I had a $1 billion net worth, I probably would give some money to a couple of universities, but
they don't want to see what Mizzou basketball would turn into if I had a few bucks to throw around. That's all.
I would invest it. I would invest it all in. I would do a little Mizzou, but then I'd throw a bunch at Long Island. I would turn the Sharks into a superpower just found on the basketball court.
Have you ever been to Long Island?
I don't need to. They have the Sharks.
So you
Fins up.
See your logo and the Twitter video.
Fins up.
Instead of giving to your beloved alma mater.
I said both. All right.
This one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. Guys, Why do
You
bees
did the whole
have
recruiting
sticky
thing.
hair?
We were giving you a break.
Why do bees have sticky hair?
You are in the middle, though, which does make that funnier. Bees have sticky hair because it's draped in honey.
Yeah, you're kind of on the right track.
Because they don't have a comb.
You're really close.
They have a honeycomb.
They use honeycombs.
Yes, they use honeycombs. There you go.
Good one. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
That will do it. When you next hear
No,
from
it won't,
us,
because we've got our 2019 Washington National
was
Week.
for
We didn't get to
Monday.
do it on Sunday, so we're gonna do it right now.
Oh,
Kenny,
it's a
I'll
makeup.
let
Jack did it. Did you not listen to the show? Jack did it.
No, I didn't listen back to it.
Oh, he did it.
I did do it.
Oh, who'd you pick?
He picked Tony Sip.
Yes, that's who it was.
I picked Tony. We did Tony Sip already.
Oh shit, did we?
Yes, we did Tony Sip already.
Oh well, I did it already. So
Because he's a former Astros reliever, right, Kenny? And do you remember a notable moment he pitched for?
Do you remember what Max Scherzer asked him going into that?
What do you like?
Hey, how do we mitigate their cheating? Or whatever?
Yeah. Well, so we already did it. So thank you so much for
we're
watching.
We're going to do another one
show.
since you did a duplicate. Kenny, I'll let you pick. Do you want to do a position player or a pitcher?
Reliever.
Kenny picks pitcher. We're going to go with Jeremy Hellickson. Jeremy Hellickson pitched in 9 games for the Washington Nationals. He did pitch as a reliever in 1 of them. So he kind of is a reliever. This was his final season in the big leagues, actually. Most notably, people might remember that he won Rookie of the Year in 2011 with the Tampa Bay Rays when he started 29 games, 2.95 ERA with the Rays. It was not as smooth sailing with the 2019 Nationals. In his 9 appearances, he had a 6.23 ERA. Like that one, Kenny?
Good job.
Thank you.
Nice one.
Thanks, Payton. All right, that'll do it. Thanks everybody for watching, listening. We will be
Top
back.
10 World Baseball Classic moments.
We will be back post the game. I'm gonna figure that out because if Mizzou does end up winning and advancing, we gotta. Oh, sorry, Kenny. If Mizzou does end up winning and advancing, we might play around with how we record that. And the game's really late on Saturday, so we'll discuss. Or Friday, not Saturday, Friday. So enjoy it, folks. Mizzou, Miami. Woo! Enjoy the NCAA tournament. Let us know who you picked to win the national title. And we will see you next time.